Hey everyone, welcome to the live edition of Pregame with LeRoy Butler. I am Tom Silverstein. I am at TIFF Stadium.
No, you're in
Oh,
my hometown. That's where you are. I'm the real
yeah,
governor of Florida.
AA Stadium, whatever it is.
I know.
It
I
should
know.
be LeRoy Butler Stadium.
Exactly. I'm with you.
I know. I think they're going to name it Edgar Bennett Stadium
Hey,
instead
you did. Oh, I'm all right with that.
uh, it's a very pleasant day here. 88
How's the
degrees.
humidity?
Not that bad. Like they were expecting it to rain, but it's not raining. And it feels like a hot training camp day here.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I think for the most part, you know, I was looking at the Saints, Tom. I don't know how much they'll use Taysom Hill. I don't know, but it just seemed like to me, Sean Payton. It looks at the way you play the Packers, you make it a shootout. But that was with Drew Brees. Now you got to Jameis Winston, he's used to playing in the state of Florida. Obviously, we played at Jacksonville. I'm sorry, at Florida State University, who got beat by Jacksonville State University. I can't explain that one, America. But Florida State, hopefully they'll get it turned around. So I don't know if the humidity holding the ball will affect him, but I will say this: I think the Saints want to make this a shootout, and hopefully the young guys on the offensive line, their rush can get to Aaron Rodgers.
What do you what do you think is most important in dealing with Jameis Winston? Is it his ability to throw deep? Is it just his strong arm? What do you think will be the biggest challenge for Packers?
Well, the positives of it is for him, he's a deep ball thrower. He's a deep ball thrower. He wants to go downtown. I mean, if this was a game with Michael Thomas, if he was playing, it would be totally different game plan. But he's going to give you some opportunities. I mean, he's going to give you some opportunities, and you got to intercept it. But the guy's fearless, and he is a statue. He doesn't want to scramble and move around. He's going to do everything. I'm sure they'll use the same playbook they did with Drew Brees. Play action to Kamara, dumps to Kamara, screens and draws to try to get him going. And I think the young man named Callaway, I think that's the young man named in preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Had kind of a connection there. He'll get a lot of targets down the field. So you can expect multiple fronts, multiple personnel. But again, he's going to throw it into triple coverage. He'll force it into double coverage. And you just got to take away his first read and get him off his spot. He's one of those type of quarterbacks. Get him off his spot.
Yeah. I want to remind everybody that you can ask questions, send them in right here off of the Facebook Live, and we will try to answer them. A little bit of news, Zadarius Smith is active, and
Okay.
I did not expect that. I figured they'd hold him out one more week and make sure that he got enough practice in, but he's going to play.
Can I ask you a question about
Yeah.
it real quick real quick? The captain thing. If it were me,
Mm-hmm.
I would feel a type of a way if I've been the captain the last couple of years, Pro Bowler, and then your teammates don't vote you a captain the next year. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I would feel a type of a way about that.
So you think that's a reason why he might be playing today? That he just feels he needs to do something, or what?
Well, I know they talked about his back and thing when that news came out. When every coach makes a big deal out of it. Urban Meyer, I mean, I think he had some of the family members announce who's going to be a captain is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've had it for so long and now you don't have it, I would think, what do these guys really think of me in the locker room? It can have some issues, but obviously they got it fixed. So I'm glad he's playing.
I think part of it, he wasn't around the team much. He was rehab.
Yeah.
His brother, sort of out south, playing out of so part of it, that, I believe he's one of the guys who's got that. way you can tell that is when you see guys with masks. He's one of the guys that see his name.
Yeah, it was hard to hear you, Tom, a little bit. I'm gonna try to finish up on the Darius thing when you said he wasn't around. And I'm not comparing him to Reggie White or myself or any leader. But if you're a captain, you really don't need to be there. You're still a good leader. I mean, he doesn't have to. If a guy's hurt, he can still lead. I mean, we've had leaders that weren't like prominent. Mike Pryor was our special teams uh, leader, as well as the Super Bowl MVP, Desmond Howard. I mean, so, but I guess they got it all fixed. It would just make me feel a type of a way if a guy like Stokes, I'm sure he probably looked at that ballot and voted for Jair Alexander because he don't really know Zadarius Smith. So I mean that makes sense, but I would just feel a type of a way. I'm just glad he's playing because you need both Smith brothers out there, and you need Rashad Gary to really get after the quarterback. Because if they don't get him off his spot, Tom, it can be a long day for the secondary.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay now?
Yep. I hear you good now.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical troubles here in the press box, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how much they use them, and I think it's also this is going to be a chance to see how Joe Barry runs his defense, and we don't know a lot about that. We don't know, is he going to blitz a lot? Is he going to move Zadarius Smith around a lot? Is he going to bring Adrian Amos up in the box? With the Saints offense, that's something we're going to really learn a lot about, don't you think?
Yeah, you're going to know that real fast, and that takes me into Reva's question about players in preseason. Reva, I hope I said your name right, but we'll just go with Reva Marie Amos. I never liked preseason. Tom, you know this. Aaron Rodgers didn't play last year. He was MVP. The good thing about it is Matt LaFleur put his starters in game time situations in practice. So they were able to do some of that. You can always say sometimes you need a little tune up. Back then we would play the first and the third preseason game, then we would play it all, or just letting these guys rest. And overall, the NFL, a lot of guys didn't play, but you saw Tom Brady playing, you saw some of these other guys playing. And then when you look at all these injuries, like the Ravens, I mean, they have injuries at running back. It makes coaches say, no, I want to be ready for week one. So
right.
This defense is going to show some rust, though, because some of these guys are new, moving in and out. But for the most part, it'll be a defense that have a happy balance of blitzing and playing very conservative, especially against the run.
Okay, so let's flip to offense. And, there's not a lot of changes on offense, but one of them is Randall Cobb. How do you think they're going to end up using him?
I think they're going to go back to what works. If you go back to the Mike McCarthy system, the slot receiver gets a lot. You can even look at CeeDee Lamb in Dallas in that offense. He can flourish. I mean, he was able to catch a lot of balls. He's going to be the jet motion. That's something that was missing. Play action, things of that nature, man. And then going and sitting around the stick, the intermediate area. Randall Cobb is one of the best at that. Now you got two bailouts, Robert Tunyon and Cobb. But for the most part, he'll be there to give you some misdirection stuff so you don't tee off on that young interior line, because you may have Royce Newman out there. You got Josh Myers out there. You're going to always rotate guys in and out in that interior. If the linebackers see a lot of movement, all over the place, that can sometimes help slow down that rush.
Yeah. So do you think the Saints are going to try to overload Josh Myers in the middle? Are they going to try to make it so he's going to make a lot of tough calls, that they're going to use those inside linebackers and blitz and do stunts and things like that to try to take advantage of his inexperience?
That's a good question. They're going to walk three guys right up over the nose and make him choose. Remember, he had an issue with him and Aaron Rodgers in practice. He snapped it and changed the protection. And Rodgers said, "Don't do that. Let's work together." Because Rodgers needs to have the hard count. They're not in New Orleans, and our prayers go out to everybody in New Orleans that they can recover. I heard some of the residents are getting their lights back on. My friend Charlie Barons is doing a big fundraiser for them, so I appreciate that. But he has to use that hard count. He has to do that. So he'll be in Jacksonville. He'll be able to use it. But Myers got to be on point with that. That free play means MVS down the field for 60 yards and a touchdown.
Mhm.
So he's going to play a pivotal part of what they want to do on offense. If he can do that, Packers can put up big numbers.
Yeah. I keep looking upwards, and the reason is because I keep out of the corner of my eye, I can see the Packers' new punter punting.
Okay.
He's just warming up, and it's like the guy's definitely hang time is his friend. We'll see how that plays out. Can he do it during games? But that's a big weapon for them. That's another change that they need improvement in that area, though.
I agree. One of my best friends was Craig Hendrick. Tommy, he was a great punter. He won't get the headlines, but he used to come in the meeting room, defensive meeting room, because he's a great tackler too. Roy Lee, where you want it? I said I wanted it inside the 20. I wanted to bounce at the 4 and stop at the 8, and he would do that. That's a defensive stat, not a team that to drive 98 yards. But if you're shanking them and a team on that guy go 50 or even 60, that can really hurt. So the new special teams coach Drayton, I'm sure this is a welcome sight because your coverage units has not been very good. One of the worst in the league. I think it'll get better though, Tom, because now some of the younger guys, they've moved on from those guys. You got all the veterans out there now, and I think the coverage units will be better. I am curious to see where they put Josiah DeGuara on special teams if they're not using him in the offense, because now your special team gets bigger and faster.
Yeah, and also Eric Stokes. I mean, here's a guy who runs a 4.3, 40-yard dash. He's a big guy, and you got to think he can play some special teams.
No question.
He's a guy.
That's a great point. Yeah,
I'm interested in seeing too. And then just in all, your favorite spot, the secondary.
Yeah,
not a lot of changes, but a lot of guys getting another year older. Darnell Savage, Jair Alexander, Kevin King in his 5th year. Shannon Sullivan. What are your expectations?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because here's what I'm expecting, and here's what I think will happen. I think they'll go back to the traditional way of Savage at safety. Shannon Sullivan, who I like a lot, he'll be your star player. Keep Jair Alexander outside. Kevin King, if he's healthy, he'll start. If not, Stokes will be in there. Now, what I would like if for Vernon Scott to be healthy so he can be the safety, you can move Savage down into the star position. Now you're stronger, bigger, and faster at that star position. And I think it gives you some, kind of a new wave with these sub packages. I mean, you could bring in Rashad Gary, 91, 55, and Kingsley Kiki, and you can bring in, 97, and you can flop these guys. Next thing you know, Jameis Winston is confused.
Right.
Because he's not seeing some of these fronts. But if you're not doing that, then they kind of know where you're going to be. So I think throw a wrench in it, move up Savage, bring in Scott or even Black, and do more in the secondary so the front can just tee off on the quarterback.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, we're less than an hour from kickoff, and it stands to be an interesting one. There's quite a few Packer fans here. I mean, there's a good amount of Saints fans too, but I think it will be a mostly dominant, or at least you'll be able to hear a fair amount of Packers fans here. So we'll see. It's just starting to sprinkle in the fans, and I don't know how many will be here, but it's definitely got a Packers home game flavor to it. So
you remember we used to take over at Tampa Bay. I remember Trent Dilfer used to say, "Hey, come on, fans, where y'all guys at?" So anywhere in Florida is a big base, But I'll say this: I want to thank all the fans who tuned in today for the first one, and thank you for saying "Go Pack Go." We appreciate that. And Tom, I'm at Classic Lanes in Greenfield, Wisconsin, for our first watch party, and Leap Vodka sponsored it. So shout out to Leap Vodka, which you can pick up anywhere that sell alcohol, or at your local pick and save stores, your neighborhood grocer. So that's why I'm in an office right here. Cause right when I get off with you, I'm going out to show off my 113 average bowling. Terrible, and that's what the little bumpers up. Hey, you know how they say all athletes are good at everything? That's not true.
Okay. I'll take your word for that one. All right. Well, don't forget to check out all our coverage after the game on JS Online and PackersNews.com. And we will be back Tuesday with 5 questions and hopefully X's and O's this week. And we may be live. We may be together for the first time in, boy, more than a year and a half, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's a chance.
Yep. All right.
We'll talk about that later.
Want to thank everybody for joining us and enjoy the game.
Bye.